Could I jump in, Macy?
Yes, go ahead, Sawyer.
There's currently NYPD officers that are crowding around the entrances of the West Lawn, and they are now entering the West Lawn, just a few of them, but they are flashing their flashlights into tents, looking into tents, searching for people. As I know, there's a perimeter around the West Lawn, but otherwise there's just a few looking within the West Lawn.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sawyer. NYPD is now at Hamilton Hall. They are telling people to clear out of the way if they are bystanders. There is quite a large number, and I definitely see a couple in higher up uniforms instructing people to get out of the way. They are now clearing the stairs below Hamilton Hall. We're continuing to be pushed back with a lot of sort of anti-NYPD chants here, as you can probably hear from my headphones. But they are now at Hamilton Hall, clearing out bystanders, student press, and anyone else who may be in the way of the Hamilton Hall encampment here.
Thank you, David. Can you confirm whether NYPD has started trying to move any of the physical barricades like the picnic tables or anything like that?
No, they have not yet engaged with the physical barricades. They're still currently clearing out anyone else who may be bystander, sort of protesters not forming part of the human barrier, or barricade, sorry, as well as student press are all being asked to clear quite a ways away, might I add. We are now fully off of the stairs that are in front of Hamilton Hall to the southern entrance and are being asked to be pushed back even further. NYPD is now pushing us almost at the entrance of Hartley. And might I note, there are quite a lot of student onlookers here being asked to also clear out of Hartley. At this point, I'm basically past the entrance of Hartley, and I think anyone who cannot enter Hartley, I see students rapidly streaming in, but anyone who cannot enter Hartley Hall will probably be pushed back even further.
David, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. They are entering the encampment now. I know Sawyer reported on this before, but me and McKenna are atop the ledge right now. We see we have a little bit of height on the West Lawn, and yeah, they are searching tents right now, it seems. There is about a crowd of, I'd say, 30 or 40 police officers with, again, batons and zip ties right outside the Gaza Solidarity encampment right now. I'm not sure if they're going to enter, but it seems like they're just watching. But from the other end of the Gaza Solidarity encampment on the West Lawn, they seem to be searching tents right now, searching for people. They have their flashlights on, by the way. That's all I want to say right there. Again, no email from Shafik by any means. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ian. I just wanted to ask, do we have a field reporter over on Amsterdam? We have word that arrests are happening on Amsterdam, if we could get a field reporter over there. Thank you. If someone outside of the campus gates could go over to Amsterdam, that would be greatly appreciated. Casey, do you have any updates? All right.
If Casey's not going to go on, I do,
but it's all right.
Casey.
Sarah, go first.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to report a little bit on the Hamilton Hall right now. So it seems like the SRG officers have dispersed any entire crowd. So it's kind of hard to explain this, but now there is there is no circumference of spectators right now by Hamilton Hall. They have all been dispersed by NYPD officers. So this kind of affects our vantage point.
Inside of this crowd here, they're pushing us past the gazebo. The entire crowd is being asked to move as far away from Hamilton Hall as possible. I frankly don't know where we're going to go at this point. We're sort of trapped on the southern end of this little freshman yard here. We are past the gazebo. No spectators are being allowed past the gazebo, and NYPD are now forming some sort of...
David, if I can interject here, I just saw a little detail that I think listeners would appreciate to know. That NYPD are putting hands on individuals who are getting in their way. Just want to keep an eye on that as they continue to push us forward, or continue to push us backwards, excuse me.
Thank you all for your fantastic reporting. Do we have any other updates on the field right now? Anything going on at Hamilton that we can report on?
Sort of, Macy. Yes, this is Sarah again. So, I have a camera with me, and I was trying to take pictures, but it's virtually impossible now, because there are NYPD officers stationed absolutely everywhere on Lower Campus. That includes East Lawn and West Lawn. And also the entrance of Hamilton Hall. And so this means that it is pretty much impossible for us right now to go any more south than the sundial. For those of you who are listening, I would recommend looking up a map of the campus, because it's a little bit too time constrained right now to kind of explain the map. But yes, it's getting really hard for us to report with this vantage.
Yes, so sorry to interject, Sarah. We're being moved here in Hamilton, or near Hamilton, even further south. we're being told to continue to clear out and move out, at least as spectators. So the NYPD is making quite a large perimeter around Hamilton Hall, it seems. We are now pushed fully almost to the entrance of Wallach. Most of us are crowded around John Jay at this point. If they push us any further, I'm not really sure where we're expected to go, since, of course, these shelter-in-place orders may not necessarily be followed through by public safety officials inside of the dorms.
And if I may, just for a second, also add that the student barricade that was human barricade that was formed outside of Hamilton Hall is still there. They did not move. They are currently standing arm in arm along the facade of Hamilton, waving a Palestinian flag. And now we're being moved back. Okay.
Once again, thank you for your updates, field team. Go ahead, McKenna.
Can I jump in? Thank you. I just wanted to know, as Ian and I are standing at one of these pillars in front of Butler Library, we have a really good vantage point of both of the lawns. As Sarah was alluding to earlier, they have NYPD officers stationed at pretty much every entrance, every corner of every lawn on Lower Campus right now. This is incredibly contrasting to the initial arrest that we saw on April 18th, when there were thousands and thousands of Columbia students witnessing the arrest taking place. Now it seems that the number of NYPD officers far outnumbers the number of protesters that we have here on campus today. And I have Ian here to add something as well.
One thing also that's, I think, unprecedented with this is also there is no email before the arrest. I know we had during the arrest last time, Shafik email that was sent out, but as this is going on, there's
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Ian.
Ted,
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Ian. Everyone here on the sort of lawn in front of Hamilton, in front of John Jay, is being instructed now by NYPD to, quote, get inside or get out of the vicinity. We're not really sure where to go at this point. Again, a lot of people are crowding into John Jay. Some people I see kind of running off to the side, but I'm not sure where we will go at this point. Very few people spectating at this point, everyone either inside of a building or rapidly trying to clear the area.
Yeah, it's important to note also that we have sightings of people being turned away from buildings they do not live in. There are a lot of buildings on Columbia's campus that are locked. So to reiterate what David said, many people do not know where to go, and they are being instructed by NYPD to go inside or face disciplinary action. So I just needed to mention that. Does anyone else have anything to report on? Georgia.
Yes, Macy. Oh, sorry. Georgia, go ahead.
We just, an NYPD officer just told David and I to either go into the premises if we lived there or leave the premises. And we asked, well, where do we go? And he just said, oh, I don't know. And then turned away. So we actually don't know where to go. What's happening? They're locking the gates. And now they're locking the gates. Oh, they're locking the gates.
They're locking the gates
between Butler and John Jay. This is basically the only exit we would have out at this point if we were not going.
Okay, thank you for that update.
Where do we go? Sorry, guys, I'm gonna mute myself. You can go.
Okay, Georgia, please stay safe. And David, yeah, we're gonna definitely keep an eye out to make sure that David and Georgia are safe. That's our first priority here at WKCR, is making sure that all of our correspondents are safe.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, Sarah. I do want to point out that NYPD is now barricading John Jay residents inside of John Jay, while also telling us to get out of the vicinity or go inside. Frankly, I'm not sure how we're supposed to comply with these directions, since we can't go inside and we cannot exit, as the gate is now sort of closed off to our left. I think they might just keep us here on the southern end of this little lawn outside of Hamilton Hall.
Okay,
sorry, Macy, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, sorry, we have a bit of an urgent.
There is a large group of NYPD entering the lawns from the south entrance there with flashlights, and they are going towards the tents. It is quite a large group in addition to the lining, and I believe they're starting to look intense now. I don't know if you guys could hear that well.
We have a bit of an urgent update. I'm going to have to send it over to Ben. Ben, can you hear me? Okay, I will just phrase what Ben said.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. We are now being escorted off of the premises, both press, spectators, anyone else. Frankly, no one here is left to document whatever might go down at Hamilton Hall, as we are now being told to leave the premises. No one is outside. Everyone is barricaded inside of their dorms here in the lawn outside of Hamilton Hall. We're now being escorted off the premises by NYPD. I'm not sure where they're going to put us, but I don't think we have any reporters anymore that are outside of Hamilton Hall.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that the amount of people I see around me right now with student press on their backs or on stickers of whatever kind. Someone in the crowd here was saying, who is going to document this if they're not going to let us stay? And I think I just want to leave listeners with that.
I really need a breaking update from Ben. He is saying that NYPD is on a lift going through the windows of Hamilton on 115th in Amsterdam. So we just need to reiterate that once again, there is a focus on campus and the pandemonium on campus, but also a focus on, obviously, Hamilton Hall, which has been occupied. So it is believed that NYPD is going through the windows of Hamilton. We will hopefully continue to get more updates. Do I have anyone on the field that can again speak to where NYPD is escorting students? All right, give me just a moment. McKenna, can you hear me? All right.
I'm so sorry to interrupt again. I had just asked a couple of officials, including, I think, school officials as well as NYPD officials, who exactly will document this. And they said, or rather, will anyone be here to document this? And they simply said, not right now. I would like to leave listeners with that.
Yeah, we're currently being asked to exit campus at 114 between John Jay and Butler.
In that vein, Georgia, a team of us, Ian, McKenna, and Leon, as well as me, Casey, are being asked to move away from the West Lawn. We were told by a number of New York Police Department officials to move away from the lawn, and we are now moving towards Pulitzer Hall.
Okay, Ian, do you have anything additional to add?
I'm so sorry
we
to
were
interrupt again.
asked.
Can I just go, Ian?
Yeah, we were asked to move from our ledge from Butler. I asked which building, because if you don't live in the building, they're not letting you into the building. You can't swipe in. They asked us, are you even students? Me and McKenna showed us our WKCR student press, and they said, you need to get off right now. I'm not telling you again. We left, we went away, and then they said, I asked one more time, which building should I go into? They said, we're not sure. So that's all I've heard from NYPD.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to report here, we are now exited from, we've exited and are now on 114th and being told to continue to exit westward and being sort of escorted off the premises. I just want to report a massive NYPD presence here on 114th. I see at least one bus with a lot of lights here, maybe two. I can't tell from this vantage point. After all, the NYPD is keeping us quite far away from anything going on. And I can't tell how many officers from here. If anyone on the western side of 114th has a better vantage point, maybe they can speak to that. But I definitely
David, okay, it's my turn to interrupt now. David, I'm sorry. There are I don't know what division of police officers this is, but they have a ton of industrial tools, emergency services. They have sledgehammers. Oh, they are now disrupting the barricade. This is the admissions. Oh my God, they are ripping, they are pulling students from the entrance of the admissions office here at Hamilton Hall. It's throwing students. It's a bit of a pandemonium. Yeah, okay, I'm with Sawyer, so we're okay with throwing students. That's my report for now.
Does anyone look hurt? Can you tell if students are hurt?
No, students. I'm sorry. They have a lot of discussion. They're going to go to I'm sorry. I don't know why they're pushing students. It's aggressive.
Okay, so I'm going to keep you guys muted for now. Please text your updates just because the audio is a little bit hard to hear since it's so loud, but we are hearing that students are being pushed. I'm going to send it over to Ale for an update on Hamilton Hall.
Thanks, Macy. Sorry about that. Again, we'll text updates as we have them, but we have received video evidence of a police contraption currently on 116th in Amsterdam that has a ladder ramp-looking thing that police are using to square up right to the third floor of Hamilton. It is believed that they will start entering there. We have a source stationed at the corner of 116th and Amsterdam sending video evidence. I will continue to report as we see whether police make that their entry point as well.
And once again, we did have reports that there were sledgehammers at the front doors of Hamilton Hall. So it is not just the windows that they are entering through. They are also trying to disband the barricades at Hamilton Hall. Georgia, do you have an update? I see you're right by.
I'm sorry, this was up from before. David and I are just on 114 listening to what is going on. We can't move. We're basically on the corner of 114. It's really
Okay, Sawyer.
It's really unclear.
Sawyer, I see
I'm just going to let it go over to people who are on the scene right now.
Yeah, Sawyer, I see you're close by. Can you give us an update if possible?
Yeah, they just, the SWAT, the NYPD team that were at the College Walk entrance to Hamilton Hall has just entered through the doors. We can't tell where they're going now, but there's a bit of a commotion and they have entered the doors.
Okay, just to confirm that police have entered the front doors of Hamilton Hall. Once again, they had sledgehammers, riot gear. So that is very important. And I'm going to hand it over to Teddy really quick.
I was able to receive video from someone who has a vantage point from Hartley looking onto Hamilton. SWAT has completely cleared out all protesters from the front of Hamilton. I want to repeat, all protesters have been cleared from the front by SWAT quite swiftly, and they are now breaking into the front as well as going in from the windows, as we reported before. They are completely flooding the building from all sides.
Yep, thank you, Teddy, for that. I just want to ask, McKenna, do you have a good vantage point? Can you report anything for right now?
Yeah, thank you, Macy. I'm here with Leon, Casey, and Ian right now. And I can report that the SRG unit has now left the West Lawn encampment. My assumption, I don't think they made a single arrest on the West Lawn. I don't think. Sorry, Sarah, do you need to go?
Yes, I'm sorry. They've started tear gassing, is what we've heard.
Okay, once again, to reiterate, we have heard that they've started tear gassing. We'll try to get further confirmation on that. Sarah, can you confirm if they're tear gassing anyone, or is it just inside Hamilton Hall?
I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to get a vantage point.
Come here.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I can't see right now. I don't see anything. So I would think inside Hamilton Hall. Also, for those of you in the studio, our website has crashed. I don't think anybody can join our stream right now. I believe our website has crashed.
Please, someone sort of... Okay, so we're receiving updates that we're having a bit of trouble with our stream. Teddy, who is here in the studio, is going to try to start a live stream on Instagram on WKCR on campus. So you can go to that account. We should have that up shortly. Of course, keep trying this stream. FM should not be having any issues right now. Georgia, or Alec, I'm going to cut to you for a second.
Yeah, thanks. I want to say there is a direct link to download WKCR's live stream directly onto your device. I believe if we haven't publicized that already, we will soon. And so just keep a lookout for that. It'll help keep traffic off our website if you're tuning in. And as always, FM radio is the best way to listen to WKCR.
Okay, thank you for that. Georgia, can I go to you? Georgia, can you hear me? Georgia, can you hear me? All right. Can I get anyone on the field right now, Sawyer or Georgia?
David and I are still outside of campus at 114th and Amsterdam. So no update from us. We're unsure of where to move. We don't want to move further away in case we miss anything. Actually, what I can see right now is that more NYPD are crawling. There's a lot of NYPD crawling into Hamilton on this ladder contraption. This is just the viewpoint we're seeing from 114th and Amsterdam. There's like 10 of them on the ladder right now and more awaiting. That's what I can see right now.
Thank you, Georgia. Sawyer, I'm going to hand it over to you. You said there was an arrest you could see.
Yes, we saw at least one arrested individual come out of Hamilton Hall. Again, I'm still trying to get a vantage point because NYPD has blocked all of the access points to Hamilton Hall. However, I'm seeing actually another. So they are taking arrested individuals from Hamilton Hall, and it seems like they are going towards the 114th John.
Thank you, Sawyer. So I'm getting reports from Teddy now that there may be an unconscious student in front of Hamilton. Do you have any further confirmation of that, Teddy?
Yeah, I have a video from someone in Hartley looking down onto Hamilton, and yes, there's an unconscious student on the ground. They have removed most of the debris and furniture on this side, and there's an unconscious student on their side on the ground in front of Hamilton.
Thank you, Teddy, for that. So once again, we don't know what caused that necessarily. Could have been the police, but we can't confirm it right now. We have also heard that there is tear gas based on what our reporters can smell. It's unclear if that is just inside Hamilton Hall or if that is outside as well. McKenna, do you have a vantage point?
Thank you, Macy. I don't have a vantage point of Hamilton Hall right now. I'm currently standing with a bunch of other student reporters, as well as some administrators from the journalism school outside of Pulitzer Hall. We, as Ian mentioned, we were told several times by NYPD officers to enter a building if we were students. However, there are no buildings for us to enter at all. I think we may have access as student press into Pulitzer, but I cannot confirm that entirely. But we can see some NYPD officers moving up the middle from Butler north on campus. But right now it's incredibly difficult to see. Our access and our mobility is incredibly limited right now.
Great, thank you. Once again, I need to state that we do have a live stream going of our coverage on WKCR_on campus. Once again, that is WKCR_on campus, and that is because we are having difficulties with our online stream. I just wanted to pass it over to Sarah now.
There are a
Unfortunately, we can't hear you. If you could maybe...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was moving. There are a lot of SRG officers right now reporting to Hamilton Hall. I believe most of the SRG officers that were formerly circumferencing West Lawn have now reported to the front of Hamilton Hall. Again, it's hard to say because the vantage points here are not great. Yes, as Teddy's saying, in front of Hamilton. There also is just kind of a new wave that we did not previously see. I also received a tip from a source who is on 114th right now that there are more correction buses pulling up. That's my update. Thank you, Macy.
Yes, and we now have a confirmation that there is a fire alarm going off in Hamilton Hall. We are not sure of the cause of that. But yeah, we're also getting pictures of the ladder that police are climbing up to get into the windows of Hamilton. Does anyone else have an update on the ground? Ian, Georgia?
Yeah, I'll go real quick update. Anyone who wants to butt in, they obviously can. I just want to say lots of NYP surrounding the West Lawn. They already went through and pretty much cleared it. As we kind of noticed, we could not see or confirm any arrests being made. As I noted before, police even came on campus. There was virtually no one in the encampment at all. In fact, I think most were stationed either at the Hartley campsite there or at Hamilton Hall. So I see now that there's just a lot of police officers guarding the West Lawn as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sawyer, I'm going to turn to you if you have any updates. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. There are a number of arrested individuals now coming down what appears to be from Hamilton to around Butler near the John Day gates. This is an influx. There were about 3 or 4 that I saw previously, and now there seems to be at least 6 at a time. They're just taking them in hordes at this point. But otherwise, I think everything is up to date here.
Great, thank you. Georgia, I don't know if you have a vantage point. Can you attest to if there are still bystanders, if anyone that is not involved with the protest has gotten in the way or been hurt?
I'm still outside campus. So far, I can't see any escalation that's taken place out here, specifically where I am at 114th and Broadway. From what I can see, there are people leaving campus. Are they Okay. So David has a vantage point from his camera. People are being are exiting campus in the sort of zip tie handcuffs here. We're seeing a few of them here. I can recognize these people from the barricade. These are individuals who are in front, part of the human barricade outside of Hamilton Hall. They have been escorted here by the police, it seems, outside of campus. I'm unsure why they've just brought them to the end of the barricade here at the street. I'm a little bit confused, but they might be being invited to exit. I'm unsure, but I'll update you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to send it over to Sarah if you have an update, Sarah.
You see, I'm trying to get out of the noise. I'm sorry.
Which are you?
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, I had to get out of the noise. Yeah, they are arresting a lot of students. I know that previously we were pretty much unsure of how many students were in Hamilton Hall. I believe now we've maybe seen 20 arrests. I would also like to note that I did see one student being dragged. The student did look very limp. I'm not sure if that was a form of resistance or if that was the student who had passed out. But yeah, the student looked limp. That's all I wanted to note. But that's also speculation that could have been the student with the medical emergency. All right, Macy, back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, too, that we now have a live stream on our account, WKCR_on campus on Instagram. If the stream online is not working for you, please tune into our live stream, WKCR_on campus, to continue our coverage, or tune in on an FM signal. I wanted to ask, McKenna, do you have any updates for us?
So sorry about the delay there. I have Ian here with me also to report. I'm gonna let Ian go first.
Just real quick, from our view, we are from Pulitzer Hall. All we can see is flashing lights and lots of noise, screams. What else do you hear, McKenna?
I'm hearing a ton of chants from the outside protesters, I'm assuming. We can also hear the sound before, just a few minutes prior. We heard a lot of banging metal, and I'm assuming that's from the metal furniture that they had barricading them inside Hamilton Hall. I also want to report that we received a few anonymous videos from a resident of Hartley Hall, kind of showing some of the brutal images, and brutal is the only way I can describe what we saw. Images of students being pinned and arrested. We have videos of them. I can send them to you guys for more confirmation. But students being arrested and pinned on the ground, which is a much more a brutal tactic, I think, than when we saw last Thursday on the 8th.
Great, thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Sawyer now.
Yeah, I just want to know, because we've been keeping track of the spectatorship that has been occurring throughout these past 2 weeks. To me, as a reporter that has been here during all the major escalations that have occurred in the past 2 weeks, as well as everyone else on the field, I'm sure this is very eerie, as there are very few, spectators. There's a small chant that is occurring on the outside of Hamilton on College Walk, but otherwise there just is press, student press. But yeah, there's not a ton of spectatorship due to the lockdown on campus.
Thank you. I appreciate that update. Georgia, I noticed you seem to be very close to an officer. Do you have an update by chance, if you can?
Yeah, if anyone has any more pressing updates, you're welcome to interrupt me. I just wanted to mention, I was talking a little bit about these folks that I remember seeing at the barricade outside of Hamilton Hall, being sort of led here by NYPD in front of the barricade here at the intersection of 114th and Broadway. From what I see now, they are continuing to hold hands and link arms here, but they have decided to sit. I believe this is something they've decided to do together, sit down in the street here in front of the barricade. So I'm going to try and get a sense for what sort of circumstances led up to them doing this, and perhaps why they want to do this. I'm also seeing some men in suits entering the barricades now to supposedly walking towards the John Jay Gates. So that's something we're going to look closer to. I can see this very vaguely through the window, but it does appear that a lot more police are entering the John Jay Gates. So just something to pin if someone can. Okay. Yeah. David has a vantage point here that he can see lots and lots of NYPD entering campus there at John Jay Gates.
Okay, I'm just going to jump on really quick. This is a very important piece of information to know. From our estimates, there were anywhere between 20 and 50 protesters that were inside Hamilton Hall. We still don't have a confirmation number on that, but just to scale for our listeners, the difference between the amount of protesters in Hamilton Hall and the police response we are seeing tonight. This is the most police response we have ever seen on campus. It is nowhere near what we saw during the first arrests. And it appears that people are being caught up in this that are not necessarily protesters. So once again, we'll keep our eyes on that. We have reporters still in the field but I'll keep you all posted. It just was important to know again that there were between 20 and 50 protesters inside Hamilton Hall, which is completely disproportionate to the police response we are seeing tonight. Does anyone on the field have an update?
I can. I have a quick update
Go ahead,
if
Casey.
it's warranted. It's not about Hamilton Hall, but I did want to note it's now been 20 minutes, or at least, since the New York Police Department was on the West Lawn encampment and cleared it of people, I believe. And we still see, I believe, almost every single tent up here on the West Lawn. All the tents are up. I believe there are no people, and New York Police Department is still very much surrounding the West Lawn. But I did want to note that all the tents are still up, and the lawn seems almost untouched, which is a diversion from what we saw on Thursday. I believe we saw tents going down almost immediately after protesters were arrested.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to send it over to Ale in the studio with an urgent update.
Thank you, Macy. You might have heard us say that we received no presidential email or something like that before. It has officially come in. It is not something that is available currently. Like, the website has just too much traffic, so I can't even view it from my browser. This is from a screenshot from a university administrator. So the headline is Campus Update for April 30th, 2024, 9:26 p.m. Eastern Time. From a university spokesman. A little after 9 p.m. this evening, the NYPD arrived on campus at the university's request. This decision was made to restore safety and order to our community. We regret that protesters have chosen to escalate the situation through their actions. After the university learned overnight that Hamilton Hall had been occupied, vandalized, and blockaded, we were left with no choice. Columbia public safety personnel were forced out of the building, and a member of our facilities team was threatened. We will not risk the safety of our community or the potential for further escalation. The leadership team, including the Board of Trustees, met throughout the night and into the early morning, consulting with security experts and law enforcement to determine the best plan to protect our students and the entire Columbia community. We made the decision early in the morning that this was a law enforcement matter and that the NYPD were best positioned to determine and execute an appropriate response. We believe that the group that broke into and occupied the building is led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university. Sadly, this dangerous decision followed more than a week of what had been productive discussions with representatives of the West Lawn encampment. We severely curtailed the number of people on Morningside campus starting Tuesday morning. Over the course of the day, we updated our community on access to campus buildings and will continue to do so through the next few days. The decision to reach out to the NYPD was in response to the actions of the protesters, not the cause they are championing. We have made it clear that the life of campus cannot be endlessly interrupted by protesters who violate the rules and the law. Early Tuesday, protesters chose to escalate to an alarming and untenable situation, including by vandalizing property, breaking doors and windows, blockading entrances, and forcing our facilities and public safety workers out, and we are responding appropriately as we have long made clear we would. The safety of our community, especially our students, remains our top priority. And before we pass it over to the field again, in fact, unless someone has breaking news, I can do this analysis in a little bit, but 3 things stand out. First is that this language is verbatim lifted from Columbia's press briefing earlier, as well as the language they have been using consistently. The second is that...
I'm so sorry. I do need to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
NYPD corrections bus that is coming down 114th and Broadway. And they are now, NYPD is now currently pulling students who are sitting on the ground here at 114th. An NYPD officer as well. They're pulling students off the ground quite violently, I will add. People are yelling to get their hands off of them, but it does appear that they moved the bus down here to possibly stop. Students are being dragged off the road here at 114th in Amsterdam. Now it is cleared, and it is unclear whether or not the bus will continue to go through the intersection here. Yeah.
Once again, we have confirmation that... Go ahead.
That's the update there. I'll let you add anything else. What I'm now seeing is some NYPD officers. There's about 10 of them coming the street here. They're opening up the doors of the the bus, the NYPD police bus. We're gonna monitor where this goes or what it ends up doing here. But I'll send it back to anyone else who has updates.
It's important to note again that the student body here at Columbia still has not received any other email aside from the shelter in place. There was no warning of NYPD coming onto campus, and despite shelter in place, we heard accounts of multiple students that were denied entry into buildings because they did not live there.
I just want to confirm that that bus was full of protesters. We saw them through the window, and they are driving the bus down Amsterdam. Sorry to interrupt there, but that is the update. It was full of arrested protesters.
Thank you for that confirmation, Georgia. We appreciate it. Does anyone else on the field have any breaking updates? Okay, we are also hearing from our reporters that they are not being allowed near Amsterdam Gate. Public safety is yelling at them and telling them they cannot exit. Go ahead, Sawyer.
Yeah, I just public safety. It seems like it's admin because they are not just public safety part, though they have the polos. We just asked if we were allowed to exit through the Amsterdam gates, which still appear to be open. However, they said no, it's a shelter in place, so we can't exit right now. So currently, everyone who is on campus, it doesn't seem like there's any way off campus due to the shelter in place.
Yes, once again, I wanted to add we have contradicting voices from the shelter in place. Some are saying to get into a building or risk or disciplinary action. Some are saying there is no exit from campus and people are not being allowed into buildings. So there really seems to be a lot of confusion. And this is a massive safety risk, not just for protesters, but for all of the students at Columbia's campus and in the surrounding community. Ali, I'm going to pass it to you for a very, very, very important update.
Thank you, Macy. I don't know if... Okay, perfect. I don't think I will... So this is the letter that President Shafik sent to Michael Gerber, the Deputy Commissioner of the New York City Police Department. Dear Deputy Commissioner Gerber, I write with regard to the unrest on Columbia's campus. As we have discussed, in the early morning of April 30th, a group of individuals entered Hamilton Hall for the purpose of occupying the building. The building was closed at the time the students entered. An individual hid in the building until after it was closed and let the other individuals in. There were 2 security guards inside. We were able to secure their release. We believe that while the group who broke into the building includes students, it is led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university. The individuals who have occupied Hamilton Hall have vandalized university property and are trespassing. In addition, we have had a continuing encampment on the west lawn of the Morningside campus since Friday, April 19th. Last night, an additional encampment appeared on the Math lawn. After more than a week of discussions with representatives of the group engaged in the west lawn encampment, we reached an impasse on Sunday, April 28th. The group was informed that they are not permitted to occupy spaces on campus, are in violation of the university's rules and policies, and must disperse. All university students in the West Lawn encampment were informed Monday morning that they would be suspended if they did not disperse by 2 p.m. Monday, and that participation in other campus encampments was prohibited. At this time, all participants in the encampments are suspended, not authorized to be on university property, and are trespassing. The takeover of Hamilton Hall and the continued encampments raise serious safety concerns for the individuals involved and the entire community. The actions of these individuals are unfortunately escalating. These activities have become a magnet for protesters outside our gates, which creates significant risk to our campus and disrupts the ability of the university to continue normal operations. The events on campus last night have left us no choice. With the support of the university's trustees, I have determined that the building occupation, the encampments, and related disruptions pose a clear and present danger to persons, property, and the substantial functioning of the university, and require the use of emergency authority to protect persons and property. With the utmost regret, we request the NYPD's help to clear all individuals from Hamilton Hall and all campus encampments. As part of this process, we understand that the NYPD plans to use its LRAD technology to inform participants in the encampments that they must disperse. In light of the activities that occurred after the events of April 17th to 18, we further request that you retain a presence on campus through at least May 17th, 2024, to maintain order and ensure encampments are not reestablished. We trust that you will take care and caution when removing any individual from our campus. The safety and security of our community is our highest priority. And I will not go through the rest because it's all about the university's commitment to freedom of expression and, safety and security of the community. And I think the most important place to leave off here is the fact that President Shafik has called for the NYPD to maintain a presence on campus until May 17th of 2024, 2 days after university commencement. That is unprecedented, and frankly, I have no words.
It is, and we just received that email at 9:53. It just came to the student body. Once again, so much later than when NYPD entered campus. I'm going to send it over to Sarah. Sarah, if you're okay, I know it's hard out there, but if you can give us an update.
Yeah, thank you, Macy. I just wanted to report that there are NYPD officers clearing the Hamilton Hall building. They're shining flashlights into each room and they're cutting the banners down. Sorry, hearing that news about the police on campus was difficult to hear, especially, just not somebody who looks forward to having police on campus until I graduate in May. That's all.
Yep, so once again, that was until May 17th, which is well past the current graduation date, that after tonight, NYPD will be allowed to have permanent presence on Columbia's campus for the rest of the year. Thankfully, we have some members of our news team back in the room here, and everyone is safe as far as we know. Does anyone on the field have any updates? Georgia, can I send it to you if you have a second?
Yeah, thank you, Macy. The only update we have here is only that the bus that I reported that was going south on Amsterdam actually had to back up and now is going very slowly north, being sort of escorted by the police. I also just want to second Sarah there in that sentiment about hearing that message. Difficulty.
Thank you, Georgia. I just wanted to report on some pictures that we got from our field reporter, David Gonzalez, that picture some very violent arrests happening outside of campus with protesters, or actually it could be passersby. We have no confirmation because, again, it was pretty chaotic, but being
I can confirm
shoved.
it was protesters. It was the same protesters that were lying on the ground, sort of in the way of the buses. But that was a picture of them, the NYPD sort of dragging them away from the scene to clear the way for the bus, which is now backing northbound up and.
Thank you. I appreciate that, David. And once again, we still have field reporters out there bringing you live updates. You are listening to WKCR-FM New York and WKCR-HD. That is 89.9 on your dial, and WKCR.org if you're tuning in online. I'm going to pass it over to Ale, or actually Ian first, if you have an update from campus. Go ahead.
Real quick, we are about 50 minutes in from, I think, whenever we reported, or maybe 40 minutes in from when we reported police coming onto campus, and we still have each corner pretty much, shoulder to shoulder with police officers around the east and west lawn. It seems it stretches so long I can't really locate it here, and I think the sentiments of Sarah and Georgia kind of are ringing in my brain right now as I see the spectacle here right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. And just to clarify, does anyone else, I see Sawyer, you have a view. Do you want to make an update?
Yeah, they are currently just standing shoulder to shoulder, as Ian said, around the perimeter of the lawn. We previously saw them looking within the lawn, flashing their flashlights into 10th and looking in 10th. However, it doesn't seem like there's an NYPD presence on the lawn, but I will update. Oh, actually, an update. The entrances to the lawns have been open seemingly, which is a new development.
Thank you so much for that update, Sawyer. Once again, anyone can feel free to interrupt me at any time with urgent updates. I just wanted to update too, because we did have word that police were entering through the windows of Hamilton Hall from the Amsterdam and 116th side of Hamilton Hall. And we have received word that lights are on the top floor of Hamilton, meaning that police have likely reached the top floor. We are unsure if all of the protesters from inside of Hamilton have been vacated from the building, but we will try to keep you posted, because once again, we believe that police have entered and swept all of the floors of Hamilton Hall. And once again, to reiterate, the police had this kind of truck essentially with a ramp. The ramp was set up at one of the windows in Hamilton. It was parked on the street, and the ramp was leading up to one of the windows, and we saw police run up the ramp and into the windows of Hamilton Hall. Okay, apparently we're getting...
I have an update,
Go
Macy,
ahead, Casey.
if you have a moment. Yes. So I'm here outside Pulitzer Hall with a number of faculty and staff from the journalism school, which we have seen for the past maybe half an hour. New York Police Department has been facilitating getting students from the student journalists from the journalism school back to Pulitzer safely. But I'm not sure how high ranking, but at least a level up from the lowest level that seems to be here of New York Police Department, went up to one of the faculty members at the journalism school and asked, which ways can we exit campus? And this is a person who is wearing press. The police come up to him and ask, which ways can we exit campus? And then they ask if they can exit through Pulitzer, which is not a way that you can exit campus to Broadway or to 114th Street. So the professor at the journalism school then directed them to the large gates at Broadway and Amsterdam, as well as the Carmen gates through which they entered. I just thought that was a noteworthy interaction, because it seems at least some members of the New York Police Department do not have full... Actually, I am now seeing a large move out of New York Police Department law officials who are spreading out and fanning out. They are no longer shoulder to shoulder in front of the West Lawn. They are largely moving towards the Carmen Gate. I think these may be related interactions, as one of the officers did ask which way to get off campus. So they may be decreasing the presence of New York Police Department and law enforcement on campus. However, I can still note that there is quite a large presence of New York Police Department on campus.
Thank you, Casey.
That's all we have for now, but I'm sure it will develop.
Casey, do you have confirmation by any chance if anyone on the West Lawn was arrested?
I don't believe there was quite a bit of pandemonium and chaos at those moments. I did not see anything myself, nor do I believe any of my colleagues who were observing the West Lawn, Leon, McKenna, and Ian, notice anything in particular. But we do believe that the West Lawn is entirely empty, bar the tents and whatever other personal belongings may be on the lawn, signs, food, and whatnot. But it seems to be as though it is a lawn full of tents, empty tents.
Thank you, Casey. I'm going to send it over to Teddy in the studio.
Thank you so much, Macy, and quick shout out to all the strength that is being displayed by our reporting team. I just want to say that right now, on Hamilton right now, all of the debris that was used to barricade Hamilton Hall has been moved to the steps between low. It is a huge pile of tables, chairs, and everything that was being used to blockade the building is now on Hamilton steps, as I would say at least 100 SWAT team members or riot police are stationed outside of Hamilton at the moment.
Thank you. And I just wanted to ask our field team, I don't know, maybe McKenna, if you can answer this. Can you see if there are still arrests being done on Columbia's campus, or does it appear to kind of have settled down a little bit?
Macy, I can jump in here.
Thank you.
I'm near the sundial, so I might not be able to see everything, but I think Casey's assessment is correct. There doesn't seem to be anyone on the West Lawn, though previously I don't think there were, for the past couple hours, many people. However, I'm looking now at Hamilton, and it hasn't appeared to been particularly busy. There seems to be actually a couple of NYPD officers, if not at least 10, are coming out of Hamilton now. But just to reiterate your point, I think the arrests have, for the most part, stopped on campus.
Thank you for that update. Just a few things to mention in the studio, and once again, if anyone has breaking news, please feel free to interrupt. But I just wanted to mention again that the 2 emails that were received by the student body, one was at 8:18 and was a shelter in place, though it did have no advice for where to go if you were denied entry into buildings, which we did see happen while the police were infiltrating Columbia. The second was from Public Affairs at 9:59 p.m. and attached there was a letter from President Shafik to the NYPD, but once again we have received no direct correspondence from the president. Ale, go ahead.
That is correct, Macy, and in fact the most appalling, well, not the most appalling, that is a high bar tonight, but an incredibly appalling thing is that there have been absolutely no direct communications with the student body about these decisions. The letter requesting coverage by the letter requesting support by the NYPD until May 17th, which, as I said, is not only 2 days after university commencement, but 1 day after senior graduation. So that means keeping police presence on campus until all students are gone. That email did not only not go out to students, but for about 10 minutes was offline. Students were receiving messages that they were not authorized to access the public safety page. And something I just want to mention is that this claim that the individuals inside Hamilton Hall may not have been students, there is, as of right now, no way to confirm whether that is true or not, but that is a first for us hearing tonight. And I should say that if indeed there were individuals inside Hamilton Hall that were not students, then that means that the university's lockdown policies egregiously failed.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point to make. And I also wanted to say, we've been at this coverage for 2 weeks now, and we have gotten interviews with people from all over the spectrum, all affiliations to Columbia University. And though not everyone we interviewed by any means supported the protesters, we did have a lot of people that did not support the New York Police Department being deployed on campus. So now that has happened not only twice with arrests of students, but also is being mandated for the rest of the semester. So I just think that's an important thing to notice because even those that did not agree with the protesters, the sentiment surrounding NYPD on campus has been very, very negative throughout the past 2 weeks. So again, I think we need to mention, Ale, I don't know if you can pull up the email where Manu Shafik stated that she did not think it was effective calling the police the first time and did not think they would pursue it as an option again. I'm going to cut to David while we find that email. But we'll be back to chat with you about it in just a bit because I think it's very important. David, go ahead.
Thanks, Macy. Just a couple of updates here from what we can see on 113th in Amsterdam in terms of movement. They did bring in an extra NYPD bus about, I want to say, 10 minutes ago now. An ambulance has also entered the scene from Mount Sinai and is on standby here on 114th, as well as an FDNY vehicle. Although one thing I really wanted to point out that I'm just now noticing, and I'm not sure how long they've been here, there are a couple of, I can't tell if they're just also protesters or just sort of freshmen who live in John Jay. They're now started to hang outside of these gates. There are gates on the outside exterior of windows, and they're now hanging outside trying to get a kind of a better vantage point of whatever's going on here on Amsterdam. So definitely a lot of movement here. Still kind of waiting to see what exactly happens or where the protesters inside of Hamilton went to.
Thank you for that update. David, I'm going to pass it now to Ian for an update.
Thank you, Macy. I want to say that me, Casey, and McKenna, and now Leon, I see him now. We have now walked into Pulitzer Hall. We were graciously invited into the place for shelter, not only from the rain, but also because a lot of our reporters right now, again, are feeling very, very threatened, again, by a lot of the sentiments that Sarah and Georgia and McKenna and I had brought up earlier about the threats from the police officers. And in a sort of moment of press-to-press solidarity, we've now are camping out in Pulitzer Hall right now until we can find a way to get to campus or get back to the station in a safe manner. I don't think I can say much more. I'm sorry.
Yep, thank you so much for that, Ian. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all the hard work that you have done tonight. I just wanted to reiterate once again that the journalism school has graciously invited our WKCR reporters that are still on campus into Pulitzer Hall, but before that, they were getting denied access to all of the buildings that they were trying to enter while NYPD was telling them they had to enter a building to avoid getting in the way of, or possibly getting arrested. So that is important to note that had it not been for the journalism school now, we could not guarantee the safety of our reporters as they were being denied entry into many of the buildings on Columbia's campus. I'm going to pass it back over to Ale for a minute, but once again, if any of our reporters have anything breaking, please message or feel free to interrupt. Ale.
Thank you, Macy. You left off with a sort of quote from an email 4 days ago on April 26th about Manu Shafik and the Board of Trustees recognizing that calling NYPD was a mistake, basically. So I will read out that paragraph now because it bears repeating. Quote, "We called on NYPD to clear an encampment once, but we all share the view, based on discussions within our community and with outside experts, that to bring back the NYPD at this time would be counterproductive, further inflaming what is happening on campus and drawing thousands to our doorstep who would threaten our community." End quote. Now, I recognize the situation has changed. In fact, the occupation of Hamilton Hall is, of course, a pretty serious escalation of the situation on April 26th when this email was sent. But I cannot say that I expect anything less than what we saw after the previous arrests in terms of, and I quote, "further inflaming what is happening on campus and drawing thousands to our doorstep who would threaten our community." And in light of this, I think it is worth noting that the university's priority is safety and order on campus. We'll see how those two square up.
Thank you, Ale. Teddy, I'm just going to put you on to add a comment.
This is not at all urgent, so please cut me off if need be. I just want to say that my role here at KCR is as the student life director, which is a part of ensuring the happiness and the sanctity of the station and the people within it. I just want to talk about how, as a journalistic source, we are here to bring you non-biased news to the airwaves and things of that nature. And I just wanted to display how distressing this has been for everyone within the station and, of course, on campus as well. Regardless of position or where you may land on what you may feel, this has been a very traumatizing event, I would say, for many people within the station. I do not want to get to reveal to people's businesses too much, but there's been many people within and outside the station who are succumbing to the emotional pressure of this, as this is a harrowing moment in many of our college careers. This is historic in many ways that are very much tragic, which I think is fair to say, not in regards to any sort of position, but simply what has happened on this campus, the campus that we live on. I mean, me personally, I live and sleep on this campus in Carmen Hall myself, and this is a incredibly traumatic and harrowing event for many of us around us. And I think that, I mean, honestly, as someone who's in charge, at least, of the sanctity of people within our station, this has been a very tough day to watch as my colleagues honestly crumble to the reality that is their college and their community and their home.
Yeah, absolutely. To reiterate what Teddy said, and we've been talking about this for 2 weeks straight, but we have a very special perspective here as not only reporters, but as Columbia students. You could see the raw journalism here tonight from our students once again, that we're seeing, arrests within their own student body, mass police within their own campus, as Teddy said, sometimes where they live. I believe Georgia has an update. Georgia, go ahead.
I do, yeah. Thank you, Macy. I'm here as I've been at 114th in Amsterdam. I'm outside of campus. And right now, from within on 114th between Broadway and Amsterdam, about 50 cops just spilled out onto the intersection that had been barricaded off. They're now getting into a sort of formation here. They're all facing away from me right now, towards the other side of the intersection from where I am at, where there has been a very large gathering of people that have been blocking some NYPD trucks. This is right by the Mount Sinai Morningside sort of hospital. And yeah, again, this is a very large group of cops, about 50 cops, all in formation facing this other side of the street. From what I can see, I think they're trying to just sort of move people away from this area to let an NYPD van through, which they're doing successfully. So I'm not sure actually what this formation is here for, but we're going to monitor it closely and move away if we have to.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that update. And I just also wanted to quote an article from the Washington Post, because once again, I think that the angle that we had a really hard time getting because of police restriction tonight was that of the police entering Hamilton Hall, though we had plenty of video footage to corroborate what we were saying. That was the toughest angle to get for our reporters, as movement was very restricted. But I'm reading an article from the Washington Post right now that says, quote, news footage showed police officers with body armor and riot shields entering the building through a window, which they accessed using a specialized police van with a ramp mounted on its roof. Some officers entered with their guns drawn. So I just wanted to mention that because obviously we did not have reporters that were able to see that, but it has been reported by the Washington Post. And I think that's important to note, especially considering how the university has characterized the events of Hamilton Hall. One thing that I just want to mention, as Ale said in her discussion earlier, despite the university's accusations that they believe some of the protesters in Hamilton Hall may not be been restricted to Columbia University ID holders for 2 weeks now. So anyone that did not have a Columbia ID that was in Hamilton Hall, if that was the case, would have gotten in while that policy was in place. So I know Ale kind of mentioned that that reflects on the security of the university here, but if you want to restate.
Yes, I think, this claim that it was not students in there reflects really poorly on the state of lockdown that the university enforced. And this is, of course, personal opinion right now, I should say. But as Teddy said, this is a moment that is as historically as it is personally important for us as students of Columbia University. And so I think I and many others of my colleagues can be excused for a little bit of our opinions right now, but I think that if indeed it is true that many of the individuals inside Hamilton Hall were not Columbia students, then what does that say about the effectiveness of the university's security? What does that say about the policies they implemented allegedly to keep students safe that have disrupted campus life for almost 2 weeks now? Yeah, and what does it say that they have, as of now, almost an hour after this communication was issued, what does it say that students have yet to receive it as a single direct email from the university president who is allegedly acting in their safety?
I agree, and I also just want to mention, though this seems completely of secondary importance right now, that academics at Columbia have really not been put on a standstill despite what we have been seeing in mainstream media. Finals have not been made optional. The only communication speculating about that we have seen is from the Columbia College Student Council, which is a governing board made up of students. So I'm going to hand it over to Teddy now, but that's just an important thing to note.
Incredibly quick, I just want to give a little bit of context here. I do have a live view of Hamilton and Hall, and I just really want to give some context here. I have this live view from a Instagram live of a suite mate of mine or classmate of mine up here because media and legal observers have been pushed so far away from the area that there's absolutely zero view of the hall from anywhere else except from students ourselves. Yeah, I will not make a comment on that, but wanted to just share what that is.
Yeah, I'm going to put Maria on now, too, who is back in the studio for a comment.
Yeah, I also want to mention that I was standing outside on Broadway and first 116th and then Broadway and 114th, along with Tanvi, Perry, and then another one of our student journalist colleagues. And we were trying
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm seeing another police van being pulled out here at 114th and Broadway. This is the corrections bus full of arrested protesters here. It's unclear exactly where they came from. They're getting a lot of applause and shouting from those in the crowd here. Again, I can't confirm exactly from where they're arrested. Arrests were made at many places on campus tonight, but another corrections bus has left 114th and is heading north on Amsterdam now.
Thank you, Georgia. I appreciate that update. Once again, to all of our field reporters, feel free to interrupt at any time with updates. We will keep our eyes on you. I'm going to turn it back to Maria.
Yeah, thank you. So as earlier I was saying, we were standing on Broadway and 114th Street, and during the hour that we were all trying to just simply cross the street and get to the WKCR studios for a myriad of reasons, but one of the main ones being that all of our devices were losing battery and we needed to get back to charge them. Also because we had been locked out of WKCR earlier without being prepared to be out on the field for any amount of time. So we did not have jackets. We did not have any kind of charging materials. We didn't have microphones. We didn't have a battery pack, anything like that, because we left WKCR and then everything was barricaded around us. So during that hour that we were arguing with the NYPD to try and just get a police escort simply across the street, we saw at least 10 to 15 different mainstream media journalists being allowed to cross the barricades and go onto campus, or maybe not onto campus, but to go down 114th to report, and student journalists were not allowed to do the same. Student journalists were blocked, and it took an hour of trying to argue, and then finally our correspondent Perry spoke to someone and convinced a police officer to escort us simply across the street to get to the radio station, which we have been locked out of for the last 3 hours, again with no kind of preparation to be outside for any amount of time. All the while, mainstream media was being let onto the scene. I don't know if that was some kind of a direction from the university or from the NYPD, but student journalists were not afforded this same luxury of being able to go through the barricades. There was pretty much a free flow of mainstream media journalists who were able to cross the barricades, and student journalists simply could not.
Yeah, and I just, sorry, this is a bit of a tangent from that, but we have just received confirmation of something that we had already speculated on, but confirmation that many of those that have been taken away by the police in buses are Columbia students. We have received confirmation of that from student sources and from our own journalists, who once again are Columbia students here. And I also just wanted to state again, I know Ale and I were talking about the media construction that has been done by both the media and the administration here, that those in Hamilton Hall were not students. And though we can't confirm that every single person in Hamilton Hall had a Columbia ID, we do know for sure, and we can independently confirm that there were students in that building. So that media construction and that construction by admin is just false.
That's right, Macy, and that's exactly the construction that it is apparently receiving on CNN right now. And to that, many of the sources that have confirmed that the people on those buses were students are peers. These are people who have seen these students in classrooms, people who have seen them on campus, that have perhaps lived on the same, dormitory floors and so on. I'm sure it brings no joy to students to be reporting on their peers being loaded into NYPD correctional buses. And so, any implication that the occupiers of Hamilton Hall were not students is a serious knock on the students' ability to recognize and see their own peers.
Absolutely. It's very misleading. And I just wanted to mention again that we have now seen our peers being carted away on correction buses twice. So once it was 108 of them. Now we don't have confirmation, but there is a chance that it's an even larger number. Perry, I'm going to hand the mic over to you for now.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight the gravity of the situation. I feel like a deep, sinking feeling in my stomach, but it's not lost on me that Maria and Tomvi, how long were you guys out there trying to argue with at least an hour, trying to argue to get back? We were across the street on 114th and Broadway, and we can literally see WKCR, the building we're trying to get into, our studio. It's in eyesight. We have all our badges. We could have escorted us right to the building. Tomvi and Maria were trying for an hour to get anyone to bring them over, And it's not lost to me that within like 5 minutes of me getting there, I was able to talk to someone and then get them to get a police officer to bring all four of us. And not even when we were trying to go over, Tom V and Maria were like harassed even more than I was, and I got right into the studio, and Tom V and Maria almost were not able to come back here. I don't know what happened. Y'all got caught up on some other thing.
Essentially there were the barricades on 114th, and Tanvi and I missed the small entrance between the two barricades that would have put us on the side of the street to enter WKCR. And when we tried to go, we walked a little bit past it before when Perry and another student journalist walked through it. And when we realized that we were on the wrong side.
Here, I'm sorry, it's getting very loud here, but there's another NYPD corrections bus being driven out here on Amsterdam. This is the third corrections bus full of what seems to be protesters. Yes, I see protesters inside here. I see the lights inside are off, but I can see the silhouettes of the like handcuffs, the plastic handcuffs. I also, before this came out, we saw a drove of what we know as outside press. They had the outside New York City press badges on. I'm unsure where they were coming from and why they got to enter or exit at that time. Want to reiterate that when David and I were forced to leave campus, we were with a number of specifically press, or student press, and we were forced to leave, and this seemed to be outside press that was able to leave at a different time. I don't want to speculate on exactly why that was. They perhaps were just in a different area, but just want to make note of that.
Thank you so much for that, Georgia. Leon, go ahead.
Can I add right now? So we saw the SRG move out. Right now, there's a lot of people with Palestinian flags and kafiyas being escorted out. They're not being arrested, but they're being escorted out of campus by Columbia. We're sort of moving. Okay. Well, I'm going back into the Pulitzer. They're forcing us on campus. But yeah, I'm good. But they're trying to like force people out of campus right now. These were people who were not arrested but waving Palestinian flags. We're at a J school right now. Yeah. So they're trying to push everyone off campus right now. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, we're walking. Yeah, we're going. We're J school. There we go.
Can I go? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to interrupt at some point. I'm sorry. I'm in Pulitzer Hall right now, and they're asking us not to go outside. Police officers asking us not to go outside, or you will get arrested. In Pulitzer Hall, they're saying again, do not go outside of Pulitzer Hall, or you'll get arrested. We're being escorted out right now. Provide more updates soon.
Once again, to reiterate, the journalists that are on campus right now for WKCR do not live on campus. So when they are saying do not leave Pulitzer Hall, or you may be disciplined, Pulitzer Hall is just the journalism school building. It's unclear where they are meant to go, if they're allowed to go home, if there are entrances that they are letting people leave through on campus. So we'll keep you posted, but this is pretty important. I'm going to send it over to Ted now.
Thank you, Macy. Again, it's been a pretty quiet night for me. I was kind of shuffling around trying to shelter in place here for a little bit. I ended up in the basement of John Jay, and then we were able to make our way over to our dear friend Elliot's dorm room. He graciously let us inside, but now I've got a really, really, really good view of campus. I'm trying to share with my video. I'm in Hartley Hall right now, directly overseeing Hamilton. And there's still hundreds of police out here. We're seeing riot shields. There are no people inside besides police. They've cleared a lot of this furniture out. It's now just sitting in a large heap on the stairs. Everyone's kind of just looking around, and there's a very large crowd gathered at this window with me. No students are allowed on campus right now, it appears. Everyone is pushed either off campus or into a dorm. So this is kind of an ideal vantage point, I would say, to see what kind of happens here. But we're still seeing, tons of police on campus. front windows to Hamilton smashed. I've been a little bit tapped out for coverage, but kind of a crazy scene I'm overlooking right now. Maybe we can get some more analysis from my video feed back in the studio.
I just want to say too that our journalists that are in Pulitzer Hall are still getting the message that if they leave Pulitzer Hall, they will be arrested. So clearly no accommodations have been made for student journalists, and they appear to be stuck. I think we can adequately say stuck now in Pulitzer Hall, and if they leave, they face arrest. So luckily, they are with a team of incredible journalists over at Pulitzer, and they should be all right, but we'll keep our eye on them. It's a very important update. Leon, does anyone have an update on that?
I can update real quick, Macy. I was going to say, well, for one thing, I was just going around Pulitzer Hall, and then Casey, you said you found someone?
Yeah.
Casey, we can't quite hear you.
Here, take it, take it. They're disconnected.
So I can confirm that I saw an NYPD officer duck his head into Pulitzer Hall, which is the home of journalism, or the journalism school here at Columbia University. And he said, if you come out one more time, you're going to get arrested. And that was directed at, I believe, a number of student journalists and faculty. And then the deans of the journalism school rushed out to respond.
Yes, we have a bunch of student journalists flooding into the Pulitzer Hall right now. No one's leaving the Pulitzer Hall right now because of that. No one is going to leave. In fact, we are going to go outside. The student press is going to go outside to get more coverage to see what exactly is going on the lawn. But of course, with the threats from the police officers, we are not allowed to have any visibility of the lawn. Leon?
Yeah, I was the one outside. You might have heard the audio of me basically being pushed into the journalism building. And the dean of the journalism school was there, along with assistant professors, basically saying, these are press, we're trying to get in right now. But the police basically said, you have to go back, and we're threatening to arrest even the dean himself. So with all of that said, I think we are sort of trapped here, at least in the J School building, until otherwise, for the time being.
Thank you, Macy.
Thank you, guys. We'll keep posted with you. I just, again, want to emphasize the irony of having a college that supposedly cares enough about journalism as to have a graduate school for it that is now saying if journalists leave their own journalism building, they will be arrested. I'm going to hand it over to Maria now.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out something kind of similar, though we were not explicitly threatened with arrest when Tanvi and I, as well as another student journalist in Perry, were crossing the street to get to KCR after an hour of trying to be let in. When Tanvi and I initially did not cross the barricade, we were not being let into the barricade. We were only let through after about 5 minutes of discussion with the officers, and they said that if we were to go in, we were not allowed back out, and they made us, or at least they made me essentially affirm to them that if we went inside, we would not come back outside of the building at all, even though, it is just a door on the street.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. So Ale made a good point. I'm just going to credit all of the incredible journalists once again on WKCR. For those of you that are tuned in, this is WKCR-FM New York and WKCR HD. That is 89.9 on your dial, or WKCR.org if you're tuning in online. We have the most incredible team of student reporters who are both in the studio and in the field tonight. They have been putting themselves on the line to deliver live and pressing coverage for you. So I'm just going to name them all once again. So I'm Macy Hanslick-Barrand. I'm here in the studio with Ale Diaz-Pizarro, Tanvi Krishnamurthy, Perry Watasuki, Teddy Weich, Maria Shaughnessy. And then on the field, we have Ben Erdman, Casey Lamb, David Gonzalez, Ella Preciado, Georgia Lolan, Ian Pumphrey, Leon Joe, McKenna Roberts, Natalie Nahar, Sarah Barlin, Sawyer Huckabee, Ted Schmiedler, and we have Rachel Smith on our team as well. So I just want to mention everyone here in name because genuinely for the past 2 weeks, they have been dedicating their entire lives to this coverage, and hard to know if it'll end after tonight. I honestly doubt it will, especially for listeners who may just be tuning in or who may have missed this. We've received word from the president that NYPD has been given permission to occupy campus through May 17th, which is past graduation. So that is more than 2 weeks from today. NYPD has the ability to be on campus. And we will again try to keep our eyes on getting any confirmation numbers on those arrested. And we will keep an eye on our student reporters that are still in campus and being threatened with arrest if they leave the journalism school building. Does anyone in the studio have anything to add for the time being? I'll pass it over to Ale.
Thank you, Macy. We've just received confirmation that there are now police officers exiting campus at 116th Street. They are the same police officers that cleared the people occupying Hamilton Hall. This is, again, not speculation. It's been confirmed. The police officers responsible for clearing Hamilton Hall were last seen leaving campus.
Thank you, Ale. I'm going to pass it over to Maria now. Oh, sorry. That was my bad. Caught something in my periphery. Again, just checking with our field team. Does anyone have any updates? All right. If not, we actually may be able to play some music for the first time in many, many hours now. But once again, I doubt we will be gone for long, as updates just keep coming. I will say one thing that we need to note too for tonight is, though we had a lot of student journalists out and about, including our own team, but also those who were at the journalism school, Columbia University Apartheid Divest published a statement about 20 minutes ago saying, "Urgent action item, tell everyone you know that lives on Columbia campus, everyone in the dorms or upper windows of John Jay, please record. There are no legal observers, press, or media allowed. They do not want us to bear witness to their violence." So once again, that is a statement from Columbia University Apartheid Divest, which is the group that organized the original East Lawn encampment 2 weeks ago. So important statement there, because again, it is not necessarily just media, especially with restricted access, that is recording what has happened tonight, but it is the student body. And we've been talking about this a lot, but the student body has now watched their peers get arrested in pretty brutal and overwhelming ways twice in the span of 2 weeks here on Columbia's campus. We are still waiting to get final numbers, as the buses have not yet reached One Police Plaza to confirm how many were arrested, because we know that not only was it those inside Hamilton Hall, but there were arrests made in front of Hamilton Hall and on the streets surrounding Columbia University. So I believe that's all we have for the time being, but once again, don't go anywhere. Updates will most definitely continue. So I'm going to play some music just for a little bit, but stay tuned. We appreciate all of the support that we are getting for this coverage. Trust me, this has not been easy, but we have an incredible team of student journalists who are working once again to bring you live and accurate coverage on the protests in and around Columbia's campus, including the occupation of Hamilton Hall. I'm just receiving word from Tanvi. We're hearing from a source that some people on 114th Street, including possibly our own two reporters, Ben Erdman and Natalie Nahar, that the brownstones on 114th Street, which are mainly student housing, might be being barricaded in, so people are having a very hard time leaving. And it is not only the people that live in the brownstones, but I believe they sheltered a lot of people that were on the street, once again being told to evacuate at risk of arrest and having nowhere to go, especially those students who live on Columbia campus and were denied entry to their accommodation. So that's something that we're going to keep our eyes on. We'll be reporting back with updates on not only that, but also our student journalists who are being threatened with arrest if they leave the journalism school. So the night is definitely not over. Stay tuned. This is WKCR-FM New York and WKCR-HD. That is 89.9 on your dial or WKCR.org if you're tuning in online. Stay tuned for more updates.
Can I interrupt briefly? I think a bus has just gone into Broadway.
All right, we have an update. Obviously, we weren't on music for long, which is exactly what I suspected, but we have an update from our news reporter, Leon, on the field. Leon, whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm currently at the J School, but we can look in onto where basically College Walk is, and it seems like the gate has been opened. This is 116 and Broadway. Sarah is also here.
Yeah, hey, here, let me just take your earbud really quickly. I don't exactly know what Leon just reported on, but I'll just clear things up a little bit here. Yeah, there were about 5 trucks. They looked like U-Hauls. They were white. The name, I don't think they were commencement. I believe that they were trucks that were responsible for taking down the encampment. They said construction management. The name of the company was Mamais. I believe that's a French word, M-A-M-A-I-S. Yeah, I think that their intention, I believe that they're holding the remnants of the encampment. Once again, though, we are all kind of barred from campus right now, so it's hard to report, but that's our suspicion. Back to Macy. Sorry.
Thank you so much for that update. I just want to check and see if anyone has any updates from the studio right now or from the field. All right, in that case, we'll be back in just a bit.